Hello everyone, this is FlatLine, and today I'm going to be doing my fourth daily episode, and we're going to be covering up PVZ and kind of talk about Swarm Host. And we'll let the game go by in the beginning stage because there's really nothing to talk about in the beginning of the game besides my initial mindset. So my initial mindset in a PVZ on a 2-player map is to 9 scout, or not 9 scout, 10 scout. I 10 scout on 2-player maps against Zerg because you're going to be able to get to their natural around pretty close to 2 minutes, and at 2:05 is around the time Zerg has to make the decision of either going for a hatch first if they want to. Well, 2 minutes is pretty much when they want to decide if they want to go for a hatch first or if they want to go for a pull first. So when you get to their natural and you see a drone here, their mindset was to go for a hatch first, and you should be able to block it from there while you go for a gateway expand. So we're going to go for that gateway expand into 3-gate pressure into an expand and then play from there. But we do see our opponent going for a very, very early pull. I believe that was like 8 pull. Maybe that was a 6 pull or 7 pull, something like that. Wasn't paying too much attention. We just know that it's a very, very early pull. So now I kind of have to scrape this idea of me going for that build once I scout this. So once I scout inside his main, oh, he has a spawning pool finished and eggs are popping out. Most likely going to be 6 slings coming from him. Okay, that's pretty much telling me I can't do that build that I want to do. Instead, I need to chrono boost out my zealot immediately. In fact, I'm getting the zealot before my cyber. I stopped making probes because you still want to get your cyber as well. It's okay to stop making probes for a little bit. As you can see the worker difference, and there's 17 probes to 11 drones. And he's going to be getting his the gold, as he's just using the map to his advantage. And still going to be making out my zealots here. Now we're going to pull some probes because 6 slings does be a zealot. Caught 2 lings. He does kill off 1 probe. That's not the biggest deal though. But now it's down to 4 zerglings, which is pretty easy to handle. And I do spot that he actually did get the gold. I didn't go back into his main though. I definitely should have, because you want to see if he's getting gas or not. The gas kind of tells you his speed timing, or when he can have speed. Alright, so we're gonna pause it here, because now we need to understand this relates back to the 3rd episode where we talk about timings. Okay, so the Zerg went for a timing, an early pull timing, and tried to punish me. Unfortunately, he didn't really do that much damage. He only killed 1 probe, forced me to make a couple of zealots early in the game. Now there's consequences to that build itself, and that's pretty much the drone count. It's really, really low. He still has 13 drones. I still have 19 probes. I'm ahead in workers. It's time for me to put on a timing / pressure on him. I guess it's not really timing, besides I killed the Zergling. Let's go ahead and put on a counterattack. The reason why you want to counterattack is because you're not really trying to kill him, you're trying to force him to make more units. And the more units he has to make, the less drones he has, which is the worse economy he gets, while you have a better economy. Basically, you could lose the zealots, but as long as you don't lose your mothership core, you should be a-okay. And you do see some lings, queens popping out for him as well. And do see one traveling over here. Do you see this? I'm gonna go ahead and go after him. Gonna kill that big tumor. And once your zealots can bring this like pretty good health down, you can go ahead and kill off the queen here. This is unfortunate. Don't want that to happen. I didn't really do that much damage. As much as I wanted to. And I decided to go for a 4-gate, it seems. So I was actually completely wrong about doing the timing and then expanding behind it. Looks like I want to go for an all-in. You can see the drone count, 13 drones. He's adding on a couple more. And I have 22 probes. He sees all of this. And this is where, in my head, I was like, oh, who cares? I'm going to still go for it. But unfortunately, I accidentally canceled my 4th gateway by accident. Because for some reason it started making like a zealot. I was like, what the heck? So I accidentally hit my 9 key, or my hotkey, and I hit cancel. And instead of canceling the zealot, it cancels my my gateway that was being built. So that was unfortunate. So I decided to just transition to an expand. And the cool thing about this this mistake is that my opponent is overreacting. Look at this, he's making a spine here. He's got 2 spines here. He still has 16 drones compared to my 24. Does he see this expand? And he does see my expansion, so that's good for him. Alright, more lings out on the way. So it looks like he wants to bust through my ramp here, which is the wrong call for him. Because it doesn't take that much to build buildings right here to wall this off. And now he's droning. So, learning from that, I really don't never had a chance to practice against the pull early pull timing and see how I can kind of crush it. I think the pressure that I did with the zealot was good. I don't think the follow up with the 4-gate was any right idea though. I think I should have just expanded behind it instead. And I would have been fine. Okay. Now we're gonna pause it here. We need to understand something still. I forced a lot of links. We saw all those links coming out from him. And we're like, okay, well in the beginning of the game he went for an early pull, so that means he had less drones. I went for a little pressure build and forced a lot of drones, a lot of links as well. And then I went for a pseudo 3 gates pressure or all-in timing something. And he went to make a lot of links for it and spines as well. I don't know about the spines. Obviously I haven't scouted the spines, but I did scout the mass links coming out from him over here. So that means he had less drones. So when he has less drones, the thing that's going through Zerg's head is, alright, how do I catch back up? I need to just drone up hardcore, get up to like 40 drones with the gold, and I should be pretty good, right? Pretty good. So my objective is to hit a timing where he is not able to comfortably drone up. Now, what is that timing? What is that timing? Do I wait until this gateway's done? Do I wait for these gateways done? When is my timing to actually move out and put on the aggression? Usually I go for like a minute to 2 minute. After I saw his links, I wait for like a minute or 2 and then I push. Anytime I see them do any kind of pressure, like they commit to a heavy pressure, after like 2 warp-ins, which is like 1 or 2 minutes, like I said, you want to try to go for a pressure. And as long as you have a mothership core, you should be perfectly fine. So yeah, you can see I have a lot of sentries. You want to have a lot of sentries because in the early game, sentries roll. Here we go. Gonna go over here towards this watchtower. Now he spots this. What's going on in his head? Let's look at the drone count. 29 drones to 38 probes. He's actually been making a lot of units instead, so it looked like he wanted to go for another all-in, it seemed. So, I mean, that works well for him. If he didn't make all these units, I definitely would have done a lot of damage because he wouldn't have enough to deal with this. Because now he has a lot of these units, I have to be very, very careful. But that also means, hey, you know what? He made all these units, that means he doesn't have that many drones. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and expand. We learned from our mistake from the first attempt where I tried to go for an all-in. Instead of go for an all-in, let's just expand behind it and just stay put right here. And this is pretty safe because we have a lot of sentries, we have a lot of energy, and we can force field this, and if need be, I can always recall out. It's time for me to scout though. We need to see exactly where am I when it comes to economy. So we see back in his main, doesn't have that many drones, it's pretty close to being saturated. This natural, or his gold, had a pretty good number of drones, didn't have any of his gases that we saw with our mothership core. Now we're gonna look over here. Okay, he has a third base finishing up, but no drones. What does this mean? He doesn't have that many workers, so I am ahead in economy. 48 probes to 30 drones. So now what's going through my head is, I just need to hold on to this attack. Now I said earlier in the game we're talking about swarm hosts, but we do have to talk about the beginning of the game that leads up to the swarm host. Just because I feel like this will help out a couple of people, because I know that there's a lot of Protoss players that don't really know when to push out against Zerg. It's kind of like, I guess I have units, let's just move out. And sometimes that's actually the right idea. That's the right mindset. If you have a lot of if you have units and you have a mothership core that you can use for recall, then go ahead. Go ahead and move out, I would say. Generally, it's okay. Generally. But usually if you're going to move out, it's got to be with sentries as well. Because when you recall, you're not going to have 100 energy on your mothership core, and sometimes that leads to you not having enough for photon overcharge for a counterattack. So an alternative is to have sentries with force field to kind of delay the timing. Okay. Now, we saw some of his lings move down here with the watchtower right here, so I'm trying to figure out where did his lings go. Is he going to try to do a wrap around me, or what? I've been looking around. I didn't look at the minimap, unfortunately, so I didn't see these. Okay. And there's the infestation pit. Now we're just going to speed things up here, because there's really nothing to talk about. We have a lot of sentries. Just checking over here, seeing his gas. And seeing if I can pick off the queen. If the queen goes behind the mineral line, I can force field right here and here and here, and it traps it and I can kill it. And once I kill that, then the mothership core can pretty much stay on top of this base for a while. Okay, so I'm regrouping with my army because we have 3 immortals. Now we want to go for another timing. This timing is going with the warp prism and my +1 armor. My +1 armor should finish up about the time when I get over here. Here we go, we're gonna pressure. Now I know we're facing swarm hosts. So what's going through my head at this point is that, okay, he doesn't have that big of an economy. You saw his drone count, we kind of hindered it for quite a bit, so we should be ahead in economy. He is going to try to use swarm hosts, so he's going to play pretty defensive now. He decides not to go for that all-in aggressive style. Instead, now he's going to have to play pretty passive because he's going for swarm hosts. It's really hard for him to kind of push up and play aggressive with them when he doesn't have that many swarm hosts because of his pretty low econ style. Cool, so now what I need to understand is how to break his defense. How to break his defense. The fact that he doesn't have, he had a very low econ, very few chance of him having static defense on his map, on his bases, because he has to cut corners to get to that economy that allows him to get these swarm hosts, that allows him to get these upgrades as well. Here we go. Gonna force field this little link thing is hilarious. Definitely could have force field better here. I was being a little bit too patient. Alright, and behind this, gonna play aggressive here. Gonna snipe off the infestation pit. Needs less one post for him. Alright, but he does push me out because, you know, Locust is really good at defending. He's a really strong unit when it comes to defending. Alright, I'm gonna get Storm. I'm gonna get some Archons as well. Storm is gonna be a nice supplement. It's gonna be pretty much a replacement to Colossus. A lot easier to get into these, into High Templars with Storm. Especially when I already had the High Templar guys. So Storm is finishing up. You see double robo robotics day. So now my mindset. Generally, if you want to go for a ground army against a swarm host, you want to try to catch them at a position. If you want to go for the Sky Toss composition, you want to go for an army that can go head to head, that can go toe to toe with the swarm host. The ground army, not so. Once they hit that critical mass, you need to just find a way to either get a good flank where you can get on top of them, or you need to just ignore them, just dodge them as much as possible, kill off his economy, and then go for a trade. The trade's not going to be as efficient, or it won't be efficient at all for you, but because you kill off his economy and you have a booming economy, you should be able to reinforce more so than him, and eventually the Zerg player will be dried out and not have anything for him, and then you'll eventually win. Alright, so I'm going to expand. I've acknowledged my timing cannot hit at this point. He just has enough swarm hosts to defend. So let's expand. Let's get a better economy and go for another time. So my timing is going to be based upon my harassment. Where is it? So you can see I'm going to harass over here. I'm going to pick up some more units. We have to understand, because he has these swarm hosts, he's not going to have, he's going to be pretty immobile. So you drop him from one to the other side. It's really effective. You can see my army right here out on the map. Just going to be killing off pre-tumors at this point. Trying to pretty much stretch him out with the harassment, which allows me to comfortably move out on the map with a very small army. And I'm gonna force field this, and I get a couple of these. Oh, that sucks. A couple of swarm hosts here. All right, so we've acknowledged that his army is out of position, so we're going to go ahead and attack here, build his base up. We have a lot of tanky support field. His ramp. And back at home. Got my 4th finishing up, making more Colossus, getting my upgrades as well. Throwing off the infestation pit one more time. And I'm just going to recall now. Now this isn't the biggest deal for him. As you can see, his money, he just needs the gas. He's just got to get at this base. And we also saw corruptors from him, which is a little bit scary for my Colossus, but it's still okay. Colossus plus High Templars and I should be fine. So like I said, my next timing is going to be based on my harassment. And so far I killed a base, and it's really hard for him to kind of start making up static defense, even though he has the money for it. You see his drone count's really low, 34 drones. So if he makes spines and spores, it's less drones for him. So he's trying to cut corners as much as possible. These 3DTs definitely going to catch him off guard. Now I want to back this up because this is really important. This is really important. You need to figure out where his swarm hosts are at all times. in PvZ, when dealing with swarm hosts, even for the Zerg's perspective, it's the same thing that applies for Protoss. You need to figure out where his swarm hosts are at, so you know its location, so you know where to go for if you can, pounce on them, or you need to know where they can go, the limits of the locust, so you can see if you need to back out, where you need to move your army, so on. So my DTC, the swarm hosts come towards the watchtower. That's really, really important to remember. I'm gonna kill this layer. I'm gonna kill this base, and now he's gonna be stuck on this base right here. Now, pause right here, because this is really important as well. Now we identified his army. His army is out of position. It's all right here. It basically means these swarm hosts are unprotected. You're going to see me make a rash decision to just go all the way towards the middle of this top mid side. Look at that. My army was kind of positioned to come from this side and then push, because I was trying to, remember what I said, you want to try to dodge the swarm host as much as possible, try to hurt his economy. That was what I was going for. But now an opportunity has arisen where his army is out of position to defend and protect his swarm host, that I could just pounce on them. So I'm going to go ahead and pounce on them. Pretty much win the game. Yeah, there, he just leads the game. Alright. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. So we're going to go on into a second game, which was played right after this one. This one's a little bit longer. And I think he puts up static defense. I think he does a lot better at defending my drops. But I still end up winning. I do a different tactic to get the win. So this might help just a little bit. So last game I went for a Colossus High Templar, and I tried to play it out where I was, coming from one side to the other, killing off bases. My whole idea was to kill off his economy, so that way he can't really reinforce that well, because he doesn't have a bank compared to me, and then just keep trading army up for army. Eventually he'll kind of just die, because he just could not reinforce. So he's not going to go for that early pull timing the second game, as you found out from the first game. Didn't really help out for him whatsoever. Alright, so we see the pool, we see no gas. Alright, so the no gas means either he's going to try to defend with queens, or he's going to have to defend with roaches. The fact that he got this third base, it's going to have to be roaches, as he gets a pretty late gas. There's a roach warren. But because we saw the no gas, I could play really aggressive with my stalker, because he's not going to have lane speed, so there's really nothing for me to be afraid of. There's that 3-gate pressure we were talking about, that 1-gate expanded to 3-gate. And here he is with the roaches. He also pulled down his queens, so that means he's missing larva injects. We're going to pause it here, because look at the drone count, 29 probes to 23. So I'm ahead in the probe, in the worker count. So a zealot for a roach, definitely worth it. And I'm still going to be playing aggressive. And this is where it talks about how do I know when I'm stretching my boundaries and when I'm not. So This comes down to scouting, which opens up opportunities, which opens up timings, for instance. We saw that he went for a very late gas. Well, he didn't have any gas, so if he does have, he has to have gas now because he's making roaches. So the fact that he has a very early roaches here, that means he's not gonna have speed for his speedlings or his lings. If he does get speed after, then it's gonna be like 10 minutes or so. But of course, if he's defending with lings, then he's probably gonna have around 7:30. Okay. So because of this, we know that he can't kill, theoretically, he should not be able to kill any of my stalkers. My stalkers outrange them, and they're faster than the roaches. Obviously, off creep, that only applies off creep. On creep, the roaches should be able to get on top of the stalkers. The stalkers shouldn't even be on, too much into the creep. Maybe on the edge of it, and then they can back out. Killing off creep tumors. Look at this. We're gonna pause it here so you can understand. 8 roaches, 4 stalkers. Forcing more roaches. Look at the drone count, 32 to 40. Have my third base on the way. That was a premature time warp, unfortunately, but still pressing up against him. Now 10 minutes is around the time I want to back out, because at 10 minutes he should have lair. And if he was actually on top of his macro, he could have had roach speed or ling speed. Cool. There's my gates. There's my immortals coming out. Doing that same timing, going up to 3 immortals. +1 armor as well. So here's our timing. Now, we pause it here. What was different from the first game than the last game? We did that pressure. It was a different pressure, of course. He still was really low on economy, but he didn't really have a super low economy early in the game because he went for a normal pull timing. So his economy is not as bad as it was in the first game, where he can have defense if he wanted to and be okay. Alright, now I'm like, okay, now he's going to swarm us again. Warp Prism on the way. There's my observer helping me deal with the creep tumors here. Decrease his mobility. You can see he has units over here inside the main to deal with it because he knows he doesn't need this because the swarm hosts themselves should be able to defend this. You still want to have some units on top of them though, just in case. Now he's kind of blind. He doesn't know where my army is. So you kind of use these these locusts to kind of push out and see where he's at. You see I'm just going around killing off 3 teams. I'm not really trying to engage his army because he has a better army than me. Oh, that was unfortunate. Expanding behind this, going up my double Colossus route again. Have my Warp Prism, but unfortunately haven't really done anything. You can see setting up defense. So now this is a different game, right? He has better defense, he has static defense at the bases, so it's going to be hard for me to actually harass him. Because the harassment pretty much won me the game on the last one, right? Because his economy was low, he kept on losing these infestation pits, which Made him later, he wasn't able to make that critical number of swarm hosts. But now look at the number of swarm hosts he has. He has 16 swarm hosts. It's really difficult for me to actually engage with ground army. And that's where you're like, okay, I can't really harass him. He's got a pretty decent economy. He's got static defense. My harassment is not going to be able to kill him. I need to go for army composition that can go toe to toe with it. That would be the Stargate. If I don't want to go for an army that's going to go toe to toe with it, then I kind of have to depend on getting good flanks or getting some pretty good storms with the Colossus. Like just being able to get up top of them. Because that's the only way you're going to kill this one, is if you can pounce on them. I'm going to go for this. And I'm just going to try to recall here. Unfortunately, Militia Corps dies. Alright, so I saw the Midas, so it looks like he's going to transition into Midas from here. That's an interesting decision from him, honestly. And I think it does bite him in the butt. But I understand why he goes for it. Last game, I didn't really go for Stargate units. So he's like, you know what? Let's show the Swarm Host and then go into Midas, Muta Corruptor, and he should be caught off guard. Unfortunately, I am going for Stargates. In fact, I have quadruple Stargates. So I can kind of deal with the Muta transition pretty easily. But you can see last game, this guy is playing a lot better. He's got defense at every base, it seems. Besides this base. Okay. So you remember what I said in the first game? You want to know where his swarm hosts are positioned. We know they're positioned at the top of this, at the watchtower essentially. So my idea is to try to pull this army out of position and see if I can get a pounce on it. Or I just have to wait until I get that Sky Toss army and then get on top of, you know, just engage head on. Since his locusts are here, you saw me back up for, I'm gonna bring this back a little bit. So I kill this base, or I force it cancel, and you see me pull back. But we saw earlier that I went forward and engaged. The reason why is because I saw the swarm, the locusts, over here. What does this mean? That means he's not having any of the supply dedicated to attacking my army. The only thing that can face my army is the army that is supporting it. The Mutas, the Corruptors, the Lings. That's it. Go over here, kill off 3 tumors. There's no more locusts. What does that mean? He's got another batch of locusts going out somewhere. This is where I need to be very, very careful with my army and just back out. Now, unfortunately, I don't have enough to support my Colossus. I mean, I killed off the ground easily. He made so many Corruptors. Not gonna be able to survive. Now, that trade wasn't the best for me, but we have to also understand the position that we are in this game. We are ahead in economy. We are ahead in economy. He did force me to move these probes out of here for the gold, which is fine by me, because I don't really need the minerals. I want the gas anyways. In late game PvC, you want the gas. You want the gas. So I want to try to get these expansions as soon as possible. Alright, I wanted to confirm again. Swarm hosts are still here with my probe, with my Phoenix. We saw the locusts come out of there. Now look at this. I have DTs with the Observer, Phoenix with the Observer, and I'm getting Observer speed. What's going through my head? Okay. What's going through my head is, we have a Warp Prism down here, and this random Colossus here. What I want to do is pull this army, the Muta Corruptor, out of position and have my DTs go in and kill this. as well as my Phoenix, if possible. Because once I kill off the Swarm Host, this becomes just Muta Corruptor, and I can just dedicate everything to dealing with Muta Corruptor, but the Swarm Host is what's pretty much holding me back from dedicating everything into defending that. You know, to defend Muta Corruptor, you want to have Phoenix Archon, which, by the way, goes in hand in hand with the DTs. You can make those into Archons later in the game. And I have my Phoenix as well. So here's my Warp Prism. I'm going to go ahead and harass here. What does this do? It forces him to pull back. See his army here. What does this mean? Something's out of position. Something's out of position. Kill out these mutas here. Now I go over here. All of this. Now we're gonna pause it here. What does this mean for him? He lost all those mutas. He has nothing but corruptors now. I don't even know where they're at. Does he even have corruptors? Whew, excuse me. Okay. So there they're at with his mutas. But now I can just focus on Muta Corruptor at this point. What does that mean? Archons, Phoenix. So you remember I wanted to go into a Skytoss army to kind of go toe to toe with it, but the fact that he went into a Muta Corruptor, I needed to go with a composition that can deal with Muta Corruptor, but also can deal with Swarm Host. And Phoenix DT is a nice way of dealing with it. We remember we killed off a lot of creep tumors here, so he's not able to kind of put up spores here or there. I mean, he could have had an Overseer over there, but we kept on checking to see if there was an Overseer, and we saw no Overseer over there, so. And even if he did, Phoenix kills it, and then I could just lift. Yeah, I mean, he's just gonna leave. Cool, 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 cool. So I kind of showed you like ways I kept on harassing, or tried to harass, if anything. And some of it wasn't successful, some of it was. Now we're gonna go into a game where I go for a toe-to-toe army, where I go for a Skytoss army. So this game is against Destiny, who's a pretty popular personality. And we're just gonna speed up the beginning of the game. I think I do my... Do I do a 3-gate aggression, or do I just stay on 1-gate aggression and expand behind it? Alright, so I go for a 1-gate aggression. Killed off 2 overlords here. Forced 2 spines. And he's running up. So this spine, he's on 2 base. Getting a lair. And a 3rd base here. I mean, this pretty much calls for signs that he's going 2 base lair. I just don't know what it is. I don't think it's Hydro Link because he would have defended with wings. I was thinking either Spire or Swarm Host, and I kind of confirmed that it is Swarm Host. So when we deal with Swarm Host, you want to just be out on the map somewhere. And here's my harassment. Going into Warp Prisms, Dark Shrine, huge production tab by the way. And I'm going into Stargate. Adding on multiple Stargates here. And then we're going for an army composition to go toe to toe with this. And the reason why I picked to go for an army composition that can go toe to toe with his is that it's really easy for him to defend these 3 bases, and it's really hard for me to harass on this map against Zerg or against any race. It's because there's really no escape route that you can go with the War Prism. Once you go into their base, I mean, it's kind of committed at that point. Just speeding things up here. Just mass expanding, because remember what we said. We want to. It's all about the gas and PvZ late game. Trying to harass here, and there. Not really able to do anything. I have a couple of Phoenix. This is not to just Overlord hunt them down, but you know, there is that possibility of him going in to meet us like the other guy. Losing that. And you can see his defense. Really well done. Pretty much has vision where needed. Really hard for me to harass him. Getting my double upgrades or double cyber upgrades here going. Shields, getting my Void Race, getting my Mothership as well. You do want to get the Colossus out if you don't have 3 Stargates already to go into heavy Sky Toss. I only had 1, and add on the 2nd and 3rd one later on. If you don't have that 2nd and 3rd one early already, you need to go through Colossus, because you're typically going to have your robotics. To kind of slow that push down. So Tempest, more Stargates going down as well. You can see I'm trying to go for some kind of harassment here. I didn't drop. Oh, that's embarrassing. I'm gonna be sniping out some creep tumors all I can until that thing died. Now, oracles, you want to have 2 oracles. This is not necessary. You want to go with 2 oracles, so that way when one finishes revelation, the other one will have enough energy to revelate as well. You see this DT is to use to contain him on the amount of bases he has at this point, while I have my base lead. Creep tumors. I have my revelation here. See, I'm just poking him to death. And the reason why I'm going to go for a committed Sky Toss army is because it's just like okay, actually let's just like turn this down, because the Tempest shot's outrageous when it comes to sound. The reason why Sky Toss does pretty well is because all this committed food into these locusts doesn't do anything at all against the Sky Toss army, because they can't shoot air, right? So I'm going to kill out the creep tumors so that way they can't travel that far. Trying to harass some way. But like I said, very good defense from him. Alright, so pretty sick bank for me. Still want a better economy, getting the expansion. So trying to kill off creep tumors here. Does kill off my militia corps, which sucks. And he gets some pretty good pulls, reductions on my board right here. Definitely want to have Revelation on top of their army. Alright, so I'm adding on more Tempest. The Koreans like to go for super mass Tempest, like, like 24 Tempest style. I prefer like the 12 Tempest style. 12 is a pretty good number when it comes to killing off structures, so that's what I go for. I didn't get everything revelated, but I still got some units revelated, which gives us vision of the other ones because usually they're all together. Killing off whatever I can. We know his army was on the left side here. So he's doing pulls, which is doing good for him. If you look at the units lost, I mean I lost double the amount of his, but economy is way better for me. I've been having my expansions a lot quicker than him. More static defense from him. Alright. Now we're at this point in the game where I'm like actually contemplating how am I supposed to beat him. There's too many spores. He doesn't have like overwhelming amount of swarm hosts. He pretty much has 16. It's pretty much the number they usually stop at. His vipers are just being too strong, and he has a lot of corruptors. And all these spores are pretty much the ones. These are the deal breakers for me when it comes to engaging. So you want to generally try to engage away from the spores. Okay, so if you look at this, let's look throughout his whole thing. Where can I go that doesn't deal with spores, but will hurt him in a later? That would hurt him. Knowing where his army's at, is it wise to go to this base? You know, go up here, attack into this? No. It's not the best idea because his army's right here. You want to catch him out of position. Out of position is not really right here. I mean, it is sort of, but I mean, he just has to fly over here if he wants to. This is catching him out of position. This is catching him out of position. He's all the way on the other side of the map. So the fact that I'm losing this base is perfectly fine by me, because I have a better bank than him. And you can see I'm going to be pressing up. Force to cancel there. I'm going to go for this base. Have my revelations on the army. And now I can kind of deal with this. He does kill it off, but he doesn't have enough corruptors to deal with this. And these abductions, not really doing that big of a deal because I want to engage his army. The only reason why I never wanted to engage his army back over here was because of the spores. Not that many spores here. There's only one spore here, so there's really nothing to be afraid of. Now, of course, if he had way more units than that, way more units than you, then maybe you want to be afraid. But if you're maxed, the only thing that's holding you back is going to be the spores if you go for this Sky Toss army. And yeah. Now this composition itself is probably not the most ideal. It is in the sense that where his composition, and also, like I said, catch him out of position. Got a huge DT warping over here and killing off stuff. You can add on some carriers. Carriers are really good because they kind of disrupt the AI. So the Zerg actually has a target fire, or else they might be just shooting interceptors with their corruptors. High Templars would be really nice, but you probably want to ride them into a warp prism, so that way they're actually in the sky. If they're on the ground, they kind of keep you limited on your movements because they're slow on the ground, and they have to go by the terrain of the ground. Air units, they could care less about the terrain, right? So it's usually what goes on. But anyways, thank you for watching. Like I said in every single video, how I ended. If you haven't already, please, you can. If you haven't already, you can follow me on Twitch and Twitter, FlatLine SE2. You can definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. You can go to my website, flatlinese2.com, which is more structured and a lot more organized as well, to find some awesome Protoss stuff. But yeah. Anyways, guys and gals, thank you for watching, and I will see you later.